Record.
Welcome to the Self-Compassion Podcast. The Self-Compassion Podcast, hosted by Seven Star of the Center for Self-Compassion, is dedicated to helping you have more compassion for yourself and others. My name is Michael White, co-host and producer. A teacher and mentor for over 2 decades, Seven Star has helped her clients cultivate their ability to truly care for themselves and allow for the expression of their authentic selves. Whether you're new to the concepts of compassion for self or have a deeper understanding, Seven Star's unique vision will inspire and guide you along the path toward the life you were meant to be living. Here's your host, Seven Star.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really happy we're doing this. This is episode 1.
Yeah.
We're just launching, and I thought we'd start with the basics. What is self-compassion?
Okay. What is self-compassion? Self-compassion is I also call that self-love. And basically, it just means that you are present for yourself as open, welcoming, and loving awareness. So when I say yourself, you're present for yourself, I'm talking about the authentic self that is arising as you in each moment. So, in any given moment, you'll have thoughts arising, you'll have feelings arising, physical feelings and emotional feelings, which are both actually physical sensations, and you'll have wants and needs arising. So, you, as open awareness, will attune to the thoughts and feelings, wants and needs that are arising right now as your authentic self, and you'll pay attention to them and try to understand them so that you can take care of them. It would be similar to you talking with a small child and finding out how they're feeling and what's going on with them and what they need or what they want, and then trying to respond to those thoughts, feelings, wants, and needs. So you'd be doing that for yourself. And I call that self compassion.
So I have a question about open awareness. Is that like an identity, or how would you describe that? I might know the answer, but when you said open awareness, so we are as open awareness, observing our thoughts, our feelings as they arise.
Yes. So open awareness is actually who you are without identity. So there's no identity there. It would be the awareness that is aware of the identity. So if you were so people make statements all the time, like, I noticed that I was feeling angry. Well, there's two eyes there. There's
Mhm.
I who noticed, and then there's the I who's feeling angry. So the I who's noticing, that's what I would refer to as awareness. The awareness that's aware of the anger. And the awareness is not angry. And this
And then
might,
you said the awareness of, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, it might sound a little bit convoluted, but you can try this yourself at any time. If there is a thought in your mind, such as, I'm hungry, how do you know who is it that's having the thought? And you can check this out for yourself. So you have a thought, and then you are aware, somewhere there's an awareness that you are having a thought. And the awareness is not the one who's having the thought, it's the awareness of the process of the thought arising. Almost like the thought is arising here, and then there's some awareness that's seeing it happen.
I see. It's kind of like saying I had a feeling of being me or something, or um,
Could you say
kind
that
of,
again? I had
or
a feeling of what?
I had a feeling of being me. Because I have a sense of who I am, but I
Mm-hmm.
can observe that I am experiencing myself in a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
just feeling like me. So I can observe, like, oh, I feel like me right now. And this sounds a little strange, but is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah. Well, you said two I's in that sentence, right? You
Okay.
said, I am aware that I felt like myself, or I'm noticing that I feel like myself. So
Right. And,
the
and that feeling of me, though, is not who I actually am.
no, right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And how you know that, so this might be tricky for people because most people spend their entire lives thinking that who they are is some kind of composite of everything that they've done and said, and their body and their thoughts and their feelings and everything that's ever happened to them. And then they squish that all together and it creates some big kind of mishmash, and they say, oh, that's me, that's Jerry.
Hmm.
But that's not you. And how you know that is that it doesn't actually exist, right? So if I say, you know, right, I could say right now, I'm hungry. But later on, when I'm not hungry, well, then am I that person anymore? Or if I say I'm young, well, when is it that I'm not young anymore? Right? I mean, these are all just thoughts that you have in your mind, and they
Hmm.
come and they go. They come and they go. So in one moment, I think, wow, I'm so good at math. And then in another moment, I think I'm terrible at math. I got an F on my math test. So who are you? Are you good at math or you're not good at math? And how do you know? And so it's all very ethereal. They're not real. It's just thoughts that arise in your mind. Like many teachers describe them as like waves on an ocean, and then they come up and then they go away. And who are you? Because you're not the waves, they come and go. So that person isn't really here. You just have the thoughts and the ideas of that person. And then the thoughts and ideas go away because you are sleeping or you're watching TV or you were laughing at a joke. When you're doing that,
Hmm.
that person's gone.
I see. And so the awareness would be, I thought I was someone who thought that he was bad at math for a while or something like
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Why is self-compassion important? Just to really break it down, what is so important about having self-compassion? Because a lot of people go through their lives being their identities. Um,
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And when you think that you're your thoughts and feelings, so you have thoughts and feelings that you think are real, and then you judge your thoughts and feelings. So you'll have all these kind of descriptors or characteristics or ideas about who you are, and each one of them is assigned a judgment of that's good or it's bad. And when the things that you feel like are good about you are threatened, then you will do harmful behavior to try to recover those things. You'll do dishonest behavior, and you'll do damaging behavior up to and including, starting a wars. So all kinds of terrible things go on in the world because people think that what happens means something about them and makes them someone who is good or
mhm.
bad. And so when that identity is threatened, people do terrible things. So having self-compassion and recognizing yourself as the awareness that is aware of thoughts and feelings that arise and go away is so important to having peace and to reducing people doing terrible things, to doing harmful behavior to themselves and others. Because what drives that is this threat to their identity. You did X to me, and now I'll do this to you to get even. So we have all of these emotions, these huge emotions that come about when we feel like our sense of identity, um, or the person who we think we are, when that's threatened. So it's very, very dangerous. Human beings are extremely, extremely dangerous, and we receive no training whatsoever on how to make ourselves less dangerous. I mean, we are the most dangerous thing on the planet, hands down, and we don't have
Right.
any kind of
Yeah.
training on um, how to watch what our minds and bodies are doing.
I guess a good question for the audience listening would be, in what ways are you really attached to your concept of who you are? And how often do you feel that your concept of who you are doesn't uh, matter or it's not enough. Because well, I'll speak for myself. I know I've lived a life of being very attached to who I thought I was in some ways, and in other ways, didn't feel I was qualified to belong because of what I decided I was. Or I guess I was living as that identity, and it didn't fit, or it wasn't in comparison to others in my mind. It was less than. So I guess having self compassion would be me noticing, oh, I'm having this thought about how I'm somehow not good enough or I don't belong to that group. Okay, then I can go
Hmm.
and understand that I'm the awareness of just that kind of thinking.
Yes, you're the awareness of those thoughts. That's aware of those thoughts. Yes, absolutely right. Right. And then all of those thoughts, they don't mean anything about you personally. So you come to a point where nothing is personal because there's no personal self there for it to mean anything about. The only self is what is arising now, the authentic thoughts, feelings, wants, and needs that are arising right now. And you, as awareness, pay attention to them and take care of them. And the other important part about that is that since you are paying attention to your wants and needs, and you are taking care of them, you don't need to be running around being angry that other people are not doing that for you. So when you're really aware of what you want and need, then you can take action. But if you're not aware, then you may be having these unconscious wants and needs. And then when you don't even realize it until someone doesn't meet those wants and needs, and then you blame it on them and you're angry at them. So you are taking care of your authentic self. You're not feeling angry or resentful, and you're not playing this game of trying to get control people and trying to get them to know your wants and needs and meet them and take care of you.
Would you say that the amount of one's conflict and suffering is directly related to how much one personalizes, does the act of personalizing in one's life?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes, right.
So part of the work you do with people is helping them uh, change that process, or I guess probably not even change it, just become aware of it and allow it, the personalizing process, to be part of the moving through or the waves on the ocean. Is that?
Yes, and this is the cool thing about the process is that as soon as you're aware of it, it does change. It
I
immediately
see.
changes. So sometimes people might think, well, okay, I'm aware of it. Now what do I do? You don't have to worry about that part really. It's just start with the awareness. Just start with the awareness, right? It's like if you were to go, it's just like what parents are supposed to do or caregivers are supposed to do. If a child comes to you and they're hurt, you can't necessarily fix it, but you can be there and say, I'm so sorry that you got hurt, and I see that really hurts, and you're feeling really, really sad. And you can be there knowing that the pain is a wave, and you're there with them through the wave until the wave goes back to the ocean. That's all. You don't have to, oh no, the wave, fix it, fix it. You don't have to do anything really. You're just being there with it.
I see. How did you get started on this journey? What Do you have a moment when you realized this is what you wanted to do, or was it a culmination of events?
Yeah, actually, I don't know if I would say that there was a moment, but I've been working with people in a variety of capacities as a therapist and a counselor. And then I just did tarot reading, and I've did coaching. And so I've worked with people in a whole bunch of different kind of environments and with different end goals in mind. And I noticed over many years that everything really does come down to this issue of being able to have self compassion, being able to practice self compassion. And that most quote unquote problems in people's lives actually come about because they're thinking about things in an erroneous way. So they're interpreting things in a way that is not useful to them. They're letting they're not aware of their emotions, and so therefore their emotions are running their lives and dictating all their behavior. Everything eventually, no matter, I kind of think of, if people have a problem, the problem is like a doorway, and you go in the doorway and then you kind of find, oh, okay, well, how did this become a problem? It all started with a lack of self-compassion. Any, relationship problem, work problems, family problems, everything. The reason why things become problems for us is because we are not practicing self-compassion, and we're not practicing self-awareness. So as I started noticing that more and more, I realized, um, I was teaching classes and I was saying the same thing over and over, well,
Mhm.
if we start here at the problem, we're coming down to, it's a lack of self-compassion every time. And so now I realize that I could just start there and be talking about that and be presenting about that.
Great. So people might be very interested in reaching you. Can I tell them how to get a hold of you?
Sure. Hmm.
Okay, if you want to get a hold of Seven Star to do one-on-one work with her, you can reach her at selfcompassioncenter@gmail.com. There'll be more information on how to contact her in later episodes. Seven Star, thank you so much. This was a great first episode. I'm really excited to hear more about your process and how you assist people on this journey. And is there any final thoughts you'd like to have or
Um,
to say?
sure.
Have and say and observe and allow.
Yeah, I just want to say that if this is a new concept for people and they're interested in getting started with it, or they're noticing that they have trouble in their lives, um, being kind and loving to themselves, they're struggling with self-compassion, I would really encourage people just to start very small, and that is just to start by setting aside some time and tuning into yourself and talking to yourself as though you are talking to a child and saying, how are you? How are you feeling? What are you thinking? What do you want right now? What do you need right now? What can I do for you? And even if you just did that for a minute or two every day, you can just start there. So, because sometimes it can seem very overwhelming, and I know something that a lot of people struggle with. So I just wanted to put that out there. You can start very small.
Thank you very much, Seven Star. That is it for episode 1. Again, if you want to get a hold of Seven Star, you can reach her at selfcompassioncenter@gmail.com. You can ask questions. You can set up a time for a one-on-one session. Just that's the place to get a hold of her right now. All right. Well, thank you so much, Seven Star.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. And we will see you next time.
Bye. Thank you.